For 3 glorious rotations of the pale, bloated gas giant the locals called Jupiter, Supreme Imperator Scroll had been monitoring Earth's transmissions, if you could call it that. The blue-green mudball's planetary broadcast bandwidth was a buffet of nonsense. These humans worshipped culinary competitions, screamed at each other in metal boxes they called cars, and obsessively documented the mating rituals of insects and housewives alike. I swear to the twin black suns, Scroll muttered, lazily flapping one of his 4 respiratory fronds. If I see one more broadcast featuring human inserting themselves into a blender for views, I'm going to short-circuit our empathy inhibitor. Lieutenant Frisk clicked his mandibles, clearly trying not to laugh. Permission to recommend a planetary lobotomy. Supreme Imperator? Denied, Scroll sighed. We'll conquer them first. Then we'll reprogram their taste in entertainment. Their fleet, 300 Velkrith-class dreadnoughts, all matte black and positively dripping with genocidal elegance, sat cloaked behind Earth's moon. It was the same position Scroll had used to destroy the Ponquari of Zal, and the Varnagri Empire before them, and the Tak, who still hadn't figured out how their atmosphere spontaneously ignited. Earth was just the next name on a long list of soon-to-be-conquered with style. Scroll was just about to recline into his nutrient gel throne when Lieutenant Frisk stiffened. Incoming transmission, sir. It's addressed to us. By name. Scroll's heart clusters skipped a beat. Excuse me? Frisk leaned over the display. It's audiovisual. Identified as coming from the Terran Unified Response Command. Contains your name, rank, and, a note that we've been creeping behind the moon like sketchy landlords. The bridge fell silent. Nutrition blocks were dropped. Secondary mandibles froze mid-click. Commander Threx, who hadn't moved in 3 cycles, blinked all 7 of his eyes. Put it on, Scroll said flatly, sitting upright, and tell the chorus pit to shut up. The central screen blinked to life. A human appeared. It was female. Scroll had studied human morphology extensively and regretted all of it. Her skin was a dull peach. Her eyes were calculating. She wore a blue uniform, crisp and unadorned, except for a silver insignia resembling a flaming spear wrapped in binary code. She stood in front of a glowing Earth and smiled. Not warmly. Not arrogantly. No, this smile was worse. This was the kind of smile a predator made just before opening a cage. This is Admiral Tessa Kane of the Terran Unified Response Command, the human said, her voice unshakably calm. To the alien vessels currently hiding behind our moon like cowards, we see you. Scroll's 6 hearts clenched simultaneously. Our cloaking technology is undetectable by level 3 civilizations. He hissed. She's bluffing. Kane continued. Your cloaking emits a quantum resonance. It's subtle, but we recently upgraded our detection arrays to isolate such emissions. That, and we found your trash. On the side screen, an image appeared. It was unmistakably Velkrith waste, discharged power cells, and a thermal insulation membrane. We appreciate the materials. They've been quite enlightening, Kane said with a straight face. Scroll wanted to scream. We understand you're evaluating us as a potential target. Let me save you the trouble, she went on. We're both a threat and an opportunity. Choose wisely. Her expression changed. It was still a smile, but now it came with fangs, metaphorically, but Scroll swore the temperature dropped. If your intentions are peaceful, we welcome discussion. If your intentions are hostile, be advised. Your shield harmonics are childishly predictable, and we've already modeled 143 ways to rupture them. Frisk gasped. I said shut up, Scroll growled, antennae rigid. We advise you to return to wherever you came from. Or don't, Kane added, shrugging. We could use the spare parts. Then the screen went dark. The bridge was silent again. This time, not from amusement, but confusion. Disbelief. Panic? No, surely not that. Scroll stood, eyes narrowing into combat slits. That transmission, he said slowly, was clearly an elaborate bluff. Maxon, his war strategist, cleared her throat. Sir, she said 143 ways to rupture our harmonics. That's oddly specific. Coincidence. Statistical bravado. Humans overcompensate for everything. But they mention our cloaking. And they had footage of our waste, Friss added. What if they reverse-engineered some of our tech? Or acquired it from another civilization? Skrull waved a claw. Unlikely. The only species with knowledge of Velkrith systems are the Farlax, and we exterminated them 6 cycles ago. Remember? Yes, Friss said, but one of them did escape. Skrull's mandibles clicked irritably. Enough. Prepare a reply. Maxon blinked. You're responding? With condescension, obviously. Skrull stepped forward, tail flicking with imperial disdain. Message begins. Admiral Kane, your theatrical display is acknowledged. However, the Velkrith Dominion does not respond to petulant threats. We come not as conquerors, but as benevolent stewards of lesser civilizations. Earth's compliance ensures survival. Resistance ensures extinction. Choose wisely. He turned to the crew. Send it. The message was transmitted. The reply arrived 0.4 seconds later. It was text only. You have sealed your fate. That was it. Skrull stared at the words. His antennae twitched. Is that a threat? He asked aloud. Friss squinted at the message. Possibly. Or a prediction. Or poetry. Humans are illogical, Maxon muttered. Could be a meme. Skrull sat back down slowly. Fine. Let them posture. We've faced worse. Send an invasion fleet. Let's remind Earth why the Velkrith Dominion has never lost a war. The dreadnoughts uncoiled from behind the moon like a storm. Skrull allowed himself a small, smug smile. Soon, Earth would know its place. He had no idea that his place was about to become the butt of humanity's greatest cautionary tale. Operation Gentle Harvest began exactly as Supreme Imperator Skrull had planned. 50 Velkrith dropships, each packed with 200 elite soldiers, descended toward Earth in synchronized arcs like a terrifying ballet of doom. Their hulls shimmered with burnished black alloy, their descent trails glowing red against the planet's upper atmosphere. It was, by all definitions, a majestic war crime in progress. Skrull watched the spectacle from the bridge, sipping reconstituted protein sludge with the smugness of a man who thought this would be over by lunchtime. Let the humans witness the arrival of their new landlords, he said, talons laced behind his frill-arched neck. I want at least 6 of their major population centers pacified by nightfall. And someone bring up their primitive comms. I want to hear the screaming. Actually, sir, Friss said, looking up from his console, they're broadcasting something. Not to us. To their own people. Skrull raised a brow ridge. A farewell message, perhaps? Their equivalent of, it's been nice knowing you. Now prepare to serve your insect overlords? Friss tapped the screen. It's coming from a central authority figure. Secretary General Omar Patel, broadcasting from a military-grade secure node. The screen blinked, and a calm, dark-skinned human appeared. He stood behind a podium, hands clasped, posture relaxed. Too relaxed. To the people of Earth, Patel began, the moment we've trained for has arrived. Protocol Omega is now in effect. Good luck to you all. Remember your drills. Patel out. That was it. No panicking. No begging. No flailing camera shots or newscaster tears. Remember your drills? Skrull repeated, antennae twitching. What drills? Maxon looked up from her console, eyes wide. Sir, our intel never showed any evidence of coordinated planetary defense protocols outside of their nuclear deterrence. Their emergency broadcasts have always been about floods and bake sales. Skrull leaned forward. What are they hiding? He didn't have to wait long for the answer. A blinding flash lit up the tactical screen. Then another, and another. 3 of the 50 dropships vanished mid-air, their remains atomized before impact. What was that? Skrull barked. Friss was already typing furiously. Sir, energy weapons. Ground-based. Focus plasma. High-intensity particle beams. Definitely not in any of our projections. Of course they weren't. Skrull snapped. They weren't supposed to have particle beams. Maxon spun a 3D map of Earth's surface. They're firing from mountain ranges, polar ice stations, and what looks like a rural petting zoo in Nebraska. They have tactical death, lasers in a zoo? Skrull howled. More dropships vanished as bright blue lances shot from every hemisphere. All ships scatter. He barked. They anticipated our formation. Too late. Velkrith dropships began spiraling exploding, or simply vanishing under pinpoint fire. One struck the sea and triggered what Skrull assumed was a tsunami, until the wave folded back on itself like it hit a force field. A marine force field. Friss leaned in, whispering, "Sir, they're targeting our shield harmonics." Skrull's facial ridges clenched. They said they would. "Yes, sir. I thought they were bluffing." "They always sound like they're bluffing, Friss." "That's the trap." Another transmission came through. Admiral Kane appeared on the screen, still impossibly calm. "This is your only warning. Withdraw now, or face annihilation." Skrull slammed his fist into his command chair, which let out a squishy blorp in protest. "Launch everything. Fighters, artillery, leaf blower drones, whatever we've got. Overwhelm them." The remaining Velkrith ships poured out their squadrons. Atmospheric fighters shrieked downward. Drone swarms were deployed. Missile pods locked onto human coordinates. And then the humans responded. From camouflage bunkers, subterranean hatches, and what looked suspiciously like a supermarket parking lot, rose metallic humanoid figures, tall, sleek, and bristling with glowing joints. Skrull blinked. Were those humans? Maxon zoomed in on one of the figures currently using an anti-air cannon as a golf club against Velkrith armor. "That's not standard issue," she whispered. Zoom again. The feed enhanced. The human was clad in exoskeletal armor, plating fused to skin, glowing neural links, and shoulder cannons that pulsed with high-energy hums. Their eyes? Bright blue. Synthetic. Deadly. They're enhanced, Friss breathed. Cybernetics. Combat augmentation. Impossible. Skrull barked. They banned that kind of tech. Their species is obsessed with ethics. And they lied, sir, Maxon said, voice flat. Or they lied to themselves. But that's Project Lazarus. On the screen, a single armored human lifted a Velkrith shock trooper over her head and used him to club two more. The armor adapted mid-fight, reshaping itself around a hit. And then the human smiled. Skrull took a shaky breath. This isn't going according to the brochure. Down below, the Velkrith ground troops, trained in 900 systems, born into war academies, genetically selected for cruelty, were being absolutely clobbered. In New Siberia, a unit was buried by a localized EMP that turned their hover tanks into bathtubs. In Sao Paulo, Velkrith warriors were lured into a plaza, where the paving tiles lifted off and revealed a laser grid. The human defenders watched with popcorn. In Tokyo, one squad was ambushed by drones that looked like fireworks, sounded like children laughing, and exploded with pinpoint neural disruption pulses. The humans called them happy enders. "I don't understand," Skrull murmured, watching the death toll climb. "They were level 3. Barely type 1 planetary." "How?" "They were never level 3, Friss said quietly. "They just looked like it. While we were watching their TikToks, they were building plasma bunkers under coffee shops." "Sir," Maxon added, "new human communications just came through. From General Malik Rourke. Another human. Scarred, built like a battlecruiser in pants." His voice was gravel and judgment. "Velkrith Command," he said, "your soldiers are being mulched. Your ships are being dismantled. You had your chance to leave peacefully. That time is over." Skrull didn't respond. He couldn't. He was watching live footage of a Velkrith dreadnought getting taken down by what appeared to be a repurposed stadium cannon and a flying bus. "What are your orders, sir?" Friss whispered. Skrull didn't speak. He stared at the screen. At Earth. At the planet that had tricked them, baited them, and was now exterminating them with flair. "Tell the fleet to prepare bombardment platforms," he said at last, voice hollow. Friss blinked. "We're escalating?" "No," Skrull whispered. "We're losing." Supreme Imperator Skrull had never had to issue a Plan B before. That was for less evolved, less ruthless species. The Velkrith Dominion prided itself on one-plan conquests. Show up, scare them, subjugate them had worked on 37 worlds. But Earth was being weird about it. "Begin orbital bombardment procedures," Skrull ordered grimly, standing before the tactical screen like a director before opening night. All 12 platforms in position. Commander Maxon glanced sideways. "Sir, orbital bombardment violates Galactic code for species below FTL Tier 5. Then we'll just call it planetary adjustment." Skrull narrowed his eyes. "Besides, These hairless apes violated the spirit of the galaxy when they built plasma weapons in bowling alleys. Friss hesitated. Sir, the Emperor will want a justification. Skrull turned slowly, his glare radiating pure, command-level sarcasm. My justification, Lieutenant Friss, is that a level 3 species turned half of our fleet into scrap metal and used the other half to decorate their museums. I'll take the tribunal over the humiliation. Friss cleared his throat. Understood. Maxon, already gritting her mandibles, activated the bombardment platforms, 12 dread metal behemoths that could reduce a continent to glass in under 6 minutes. They positioned themselves around Earth in a staggered orbital ring. Rex 7, the new tactical officer, replacing the last one who'd lost 3 of his head screaming, announced, platforms armed and locked. Awaiting final authorization. Skrull took a deep breath. Fire. 12 massive lances of energy erupted in synchronized fury. The air aboard the Velkrith flagship vibrated from the power surge. The crew leaned in, eager for catharsis. Vindication. Vaporized cities. But what they got was physics. At precisely 120 kilometers above Earth's surface, the beams hit something. Something invisible. And bounced. What the void is that? Maxon gasped, watching as the beams, designed to punch through tectonic plates, ricocheted off the atmosphere like rubber bands off a riot shield. It's reflective, Friss muttered. They're bouncing. Back. At us. Skrull blinked once. Twice. A third time, slower to process the math. Evasive maneuvers. He roared. All platforms scatter. Too late. The beams, now traveling on revised trajectories courtesy of humanity's surprise planetary shielding grid, arced back toward their origin points. The screen lit up with 12 implosions, each accompanied by the satisfying squelch of the flagship's damage alarm, which had been set to a calming wind chime sound, but now sounded like a funeral. 8 nearby Velkrith support ships were caught in the crossfire and reduced to elegantly designed shrapnel. Aboard the bridge, nobody said a word. Friss opened his mouth and closed it. Maxon stared at the screen like she had just watched her resume catch fire. Status, Skrull croaked. Once he'd unclenched his entire exoskeleton. Rex 7 spoke without turning. 1/4 of our remaining fleet has been annihilated, sir. By our own weapons. So, technically we win? Maxon smacked him. Another transmission came through. Of course it did. The screen flickered. It was Admiral Tessa, Kane again. Arms folded. Behind her, a holographic display showed the orbital wreckage spinning quietly. Her voice was calm and direct, like someone filing a tax form while the enemy imploded. Your bombardment attempt was predicted, she said. And countered. We reverse-engineered the reflective harmonic shielding from a Velkrith scout vessel. The one that crash-landed 15 years ago. Skrull blinked. We didn't send a scout vessel 15 years ago. Maxon looked pale. Then who did? Kane smirked. Not you, she said. But others have visited. Some came in peace. Some stayed for tea. A few exploded. We kept what was left. Behind her, a projection showed diagrams. Alien vessels. Hybrid reactors. Shielding tech. All of it fused into something new. Something unmistakably human. You're not just copying us, Skrull whispered. No, Kane said. We're improving you. Skrull collapsed into his chair like a bag of regrets. His posture slouched, not out of laziness, but because his central confidence node had just suffered a catastrophic reality failure. Sir, Maxon said softly. Incoming transmission. Not Kane this time. Skrull gestured weakly. At this point, I half expect it to be a psychic whale. The new speaker was General Malik Rourke. Same face. Same scar. Same eyes that could crush a rebellion just by squinting. He didn't waste time. Your ships are falling. Your ground forces are routed. Your attempt at orbital dominance has failed. We gave you a chance. You declined. And now we finish it. The transmission ended before Skrull could even summon a sarcastic response. Friss was frantically scanning new reports. Sir, enemy ships are launching from Earth. Small, fast new models. They're not from the previous encounter. New models? Skrull snapped. Already? Maxon enlarged the feed. Human ships screamed out of atmosphere, sleek, agile, coated in reactive armor. Their engines were not standard. Rex 7's voice was stunned. That propulsion signature, it's based on our own drives. But more efficient. They're launching our own tech, but fixed, Friss muttered. Skrull's mandibles clenched. Those bastards filed our patents. The Velkrith fleet tried to regroup, but Earth's counterattack had already begun. The new Terran ships moved like thoughts. Fast, sharp, and unpredictable. They didn't engage in dogfights. They dissected enemy vessels. Skrull watched as a human interceptor literally parkoured along the hull of a dreadnought and dropped a swarm of AI-controlled micro-slicers that chewed through the ship's outer layer like termites on a sugar rush. Sir, Friss said, shakily, Battlegroup Alpha is gone. Skrull just stared. Battlegroup Beta is, panicking. And Gamma. Well, they've started praying to one of Earth's gods. I think it's the one with the hammer. Thor, Maxon muttered. He's the pretty one. Skrull's mind raced. Retreat was shameful, but staying meant obliteration. Still, he had to consider, could he even retreat? Could they survive long enough to escape? Order all remaining ships to recover what ground forces they can, he said, voice cracking. Plot a course for the jump point. Friss hesitated. And those we can't recover? Skrull didn't answer. He didn't have to. As the battered remains of the Velkrith fleet limped toward the edge of the system, one final message arrived. It wasn't smug. It wasn't angry. It was just precise. Admiral Kane stood before the Earth flag, now flanked by banners of alien origin, trophies of species that had tried and failed before. Commander Skrull, she said, you were warned. Your fleet was spared once. It won't be again. Leave now, or return with more ships. Either way, she smiled. Not a cruel smile, not even a proud one, just knowing, we'll be ready. Again, and again, and again. Then the screen cut out. As silence fell over the Velkrith command bridge, Skrull finally spoke. Prepare the jump, and someone bring me a bucket. I think I just developed fear. Supreme Imperator Skrull didn't believe in irony, but as he sat in the passenger bay of the diplomatic vessel Humble Accord, watching Earth grow on the screen like a fist, irony was oozing from every seam of his exoskeleton. The mighty Velkrith Dominion, terror of 12 galaxies, slinked back to the blue marble it had tried to crush, this time carrying gift baskets, apology codes, and the diplomatic equivalent of groveling. Cheer up, sir, Friss offered, flicking his antennae optimistically. At least they didn't demand your resignation. They didn't have to, Skrull muttered. Everyone knows a commander who survives a loss like that usually ends up reassigned to asteroid zoning committees. Or vaporized. He stared out the viewport as two Terran escort vessels flanked their ship. Sleek, dark, no visible weapons. Just the threat-off violence, like a muscle beneath a tailored suit. The kind of design that said, we could end you, but we'd rather do it fashionably. New models, Friss noted. We haven't seen those before. Skrull narrowed his eyes. They built them in the time it took us to lick our wounds. An added flair, Friss added. Humans are terrifyingly theatrical. Docking procedure, initiated. Station, orbital atlas. Purpose, diplomatic talks. Basically, please don't try anything. The Atlas station was orbiting Earth, and it was enormous. It hadn't existed 2 months ago. Now it hummed with power, coordination, and quiet menace. As the Humble Accord docked, Skrull noticed banners fluttering in zero gravity, a uniquely human display. Not just Earth flags. There were others. Alien designs. Some Skrull recognized. Some are from species long thought extinct. Some were, gods help them, Velkrith salvage banners. Why are our own war trophies decorating a human space station? Skrull asked, genuinely offended. Friss scrolled a datapad. Apparently, they've been repurposed. One of them is labeled Learning Exhibit Number 4. Mistakes were made. They were greeted at the airlock by a tall human male with silver hair, a custom-tailored suit, and a handshake that felt like it had legal implications. Commander Skrull, the human said, smiling professionally. I'm Ambassador Thomas Reeves. Welcome to Earth's diplomatic platform. Skrull resisted the urge to hiss. We are here under orders of peace. Of course. Right this way. The Secretary General is waiting. As they walked through the station, Skrull observed the crew, humans, aliens, androids, working together, coordinated, unarmed, yet Skrull felt like every hallway could collapse into a kill box in under 5 seconds. What happened to their chaos? Friss whispered. Their inefficiency? Their coffee addiction? They outgrew it, Skrull said. Probably over a weekend. Conference room, Theta, 1. Panoramic view of Earth, optional intimidation enabled. Secretary General Omar Patel stood before a display of Earth, hands behind his back like a disappointed schoolteacher. His expression was unreadable. Behind him stood Admiral Tessa Kane, her arms folded, her expression unchanged from the last time they'd spoken, calm, confident, and subtly terrifying. Commander Skrull, Patel said. You survived. Impressive. I bring terms of peace, Skrull said, keeping his voice level. We have read them, Patel said. You're offering reparations, border recognition, limited tech sharing, and restraint, Skrull added. From our side. We appreciate the gesture, Patel replied, nodding once. Let's begin. Holograms flickered to life. Ship schematics, star maps, charts of economic potential. For the next 2 hours, they negotiated. Earth didn't gloat. They didn't threaten. They documented. Skrull had never feared a spreadsheet until that day. Patel gestured to a star map showing several systems near Velkrith territory marked with red dots. These, he said, are our current expansion targets. Skrull blinked. But those systems are hundreds of light years from Earth. Yes, Patel agreed. We've been busy. How long have you been expanding? Publicly? 3 years. Secretly? Since the Proxima incident. Skrull frowned. That was 80 years ago. Patel smiled thinly. We adapt fast. As the first session ended, Ambassador Reeves offered Skrull and Friss a tour. This way, Reeves said, I want to show you something special. They were led to a vast observation deck overlooking docking bay Sigma. Dozens of ships were under construction. Human-designed, alien-enhanced, larger, faster, meaner. Each one's built with tech from 5 different species, Reeves said. Some donated, some acquired, most improved. Skrull's throat clicked. Why build so many? Reeves turned to him. Because you're not the only ones watching. Back in a conference room, Kane finally spoke. There's something you need to see. She activated a display showing 16 star systems, each marked with Terran beacons. These are our outposts, she said. Research stations, forward defenses, colony projects. Skrull's voice caught. 16? Currently, Kane said. More are underway. But our probes... You're watching the wrong frequencies, she said. We kept the real expansion off the usual comm bands. You saw what we wanted you to see. You assumed we were careless. We were curated. Skrull turned to Friss, who whispered, we were outplayed by marketing. Just as the second round of talks resumed, alarms blared. The humans moved instantly, no panic, no shouting. Patel tapped his wrist. What's our status? A voice answered, incoming fleet. Non-responsive. Configuration matches. Proxima. Kane's eyes narrowed. They're trying again. Skrull's eyes widened. Here? Reeves turned, calm as ever. Well, this should be educational. The humans didn't run. They didn't stall. They activated. Sections of Atlas Station transformed, weapon ports opening, drone hives activating, energy grids cycling up. Outside, Earth's new fleet launched. It was coordinated. Beautiful. Horrifying. Skrull and Friss were ushered to a secure viewing chamber. The Proxima arrived in force, 50 warships, crescent formation, bristling with organic weaponry. The same species the Velkrith had feared for centuries. They opened fire without warning. It didn't matter. Earth's defenses absorbed the attack. Their planetary shields flickered, adapted, and held. Then came the counterstrike. Human ships, small, fast, precise, sliced through Proxima formations like scalpels through jelly. Mars-based fleets flanked from behind. New rail guns activated from the lunar surface, and Skrull watched as the Proxima flagship vaporized in 3 seconds. Friss was shaking. They're winning. Again. They're not just winning, Skrull whispered. They're demonstrating. When the smoke cleared, figuratively, since space has no smoke, the Proxima fleet was gone. Wiped out. No survivors. Patel returned to the conference room. adjusting his tie. Now where were we? Scroll stared at him. Why did you let us live? Patel paused. Because you're not the real threat anymore. You're a lesson. A warning. And the others? Scroll asked. They'll come, Patel said. But we'll be ready. He smiled faintly. We always are. The Proxima were not a species known for subtlety. They didn't negotiate. They didn't posture. They didn't even declare war. They arrived, deployed, and annihilated. So when the Proxima Armada dropped out of FTL directly into the Sol system, 72 ships in total, all jagged and pulsating like infected wounds, Supreme Imperator Scroll, still stationed aboard Earth's orbital diplomacy platform, did the only reasonable thing he could do. He sat very, very still and hoped the humans weren't bluffing. Spoiler, they weren't. Alarms rang across Atlas Station, not frantic, not screaming. Just a calm, efficient chime that said, another one? Fine, initiate the script. Within 30 seconds, the entire station began to shift. Panels retracted, hulls realigned. Defensive turrets, drone nests, and magnetic rail platforms emerged like petals from a particularly aggressive flower. Scroll turned to Friss, who looked pale enough to be a cultural painting. They're not panicking, Scroll said. They're not even surprised, Friss replied. Admiral Kane appeared on the central screen, already suited for battle. Proxima Fleet, she said, her voice flat and utterly done with everyone's nonsense. You are trespassing in a protected system. Withdraw or be dismantled. The Proxima replied the only way they knew how, violently. Dozens of biocannons fired. Swarms of hyperacidic spore bombs launched. Interceptors made of muscle and rage broke formation and surged toward Earth. Scroll closed his eyes. He didn't want to see Earth die. But Earth didn't die. The Terran defense fleet ignited like a storm engine. Ships that had been hidden in the shadows of Mars leapt to life. New prototypes, sleek, matte predator-shaped, erupted from Saturn's rings. Even a moon coughed up railguns like it had been saving them for a surprise party. Then came the swarm. Thousands of microsats blinked into action, forming an adaptive shield grid that shifted to match the incoming fire. The first wave of Proxima weapons evaporated against it. Then Earth struck back. Human ships moved like they were playing jazz, unpredictable, improvisational, and devastatingly effective. They didn't just attack, they hunted. Velkrith war doctrine emphasized formations. Proxima favored brute force. But humans? Humans played three-dimensional chess with grenades. Scroll watched in horror as an entire Proxima dreadnought was hijacked mid-fight by a human AI construct that reprogrammed its targeting array, turned it around, and used it to vaporize its own escorts. Friss blinked. Did that ship just switch sides? I think it got recruited, Scroll said, dazed. Back on Earth, Secretary General Patel stood calmly in the Central Command bunker, sipping something warm and brown that smelled suspiciously like victory. A hologram lit up in front of him, showing a status report. Proxima ships remaining, 11. Human casualties, 3 minor, 1 coffee spill. Then came the final act. Human vessels equipped with borrowed Velkrith engine tech surrounded the last of the Proxima ships. They didn't destroy them. They captured them, deactivated, boarded, stripped, studied, all in under 10 minutes. Are they salvaging the Proxima? Scroll whispered. Yes, Kane replied over the intercom, overhearing. We're always short on parts. With the battle done, Earth's forces returned to station. No celebration, no parades, just a checklist. Scroll turned to Kane as she entered the chamber, flanked by Ambassador Reeves and General Rourke. I don't understand, he said. You defeated us. Then the Proxima. What are you now? Rourke stepped forward. Prepared, he said. Patel joined them, gesturing to a new hologram. It showed not just Earth, but a full quadrant of the galaxy. Dozens of systems were highlighted, all with the Terran insignia, a globe wrapped in circuitry, overlaid with a sword and feather. Your scout probes detected 16 outposts, Patel said. That was months ago. There are 34 now. Scroll swallowed. You're expanding. Kane smiled. Rapidly. But why? Friss asked. What's out there? Rourke looked at him like he had just asked whether space had corners. Threats, he said. Resources. Opportunities. And insurance. Scroll shook his head. This was never about the Velkrith, was it? No, Patel said. You were the wake-up call. The Proxima were the warning. Then what were you preparing for? Patel turned to face the screen again. The unknown. Later, as the Velkrith delegation prepared to leave Earth's space, escorted politely but firmly by human destroyers, Friss leaned into Scroll. Sir, what do we tell the Emperor? Scroll sighed. The truth, he said, that we tried to conquer a primitive species and discovered they were building an empire underneath our noses. That they took everything we threw at them and turned it into blueprints. Friss nodded. And that they let us go? Scroll's eyes narrowed. Yes. And that, Friss, that's the part that terrifies me most. In the months that followed, reports would trickle in. Human vessels sighted on the edge of Dominion space. New colonies established in formerly unclaimed territories. A growing coalition of previously oppressed species now flying Terran banners. A name spreading like wildfire across the stars. The Terran Nexus. Not an empire, not a republic, just a very, very determined species with one guiding principle. Never again. In a final debrief with the Emperor himself, Scroll said something that would enter Velkrith records as heresy and prophecy. Your radiance. Humanity is no longer a planet. They are a contagion of resilience. And the galaxy is catching up. And in Earth's orbital labs, deep beneath the shielded core of Atlas Station, scientists gathered around their latest project, a hybrid drive, combining Proxima biotech, Velkrith warp matrices, and something entirely human. A plaque above the engine read, Project Knock Knock. Next time we open the door first.